What we're gonna do as far as checking the oil is make sure we got everything set up to check your oil. I'm wearing gloves. You don't have to use gloves. I don't wear gloves all the time, but I am gonna be sticking my hand inside the engine, inside the components in here, and I don't want to have to wash a bunch of grease and oil off my hands. So I'm going to wear gloves today. Also, you're going to need some type of a towel, whether it's a paper towel, napkin, tissue, terry cloth like this, whatever it is, but you're going to be wiping some oil as you're checking stuff out. Okay? I'm going to show you guys two examples. I'm going to show you how to check the oil on my Subaru, one car, and also on the Toyota Prius. So I'm going to show you two different examples of where different things are so you can find them. And every engine is going to be a little bit different, but they're going to have a lot of stuff that's similar as well. So first, you need to come in and get in here, and you need to be able to open the hood so you can actually access the oil dipstick. What you want to look for is in the driver's seat, underneath the driver's seat somewhere, on the front dash, underneath most of the time, you're going to find a little tab. You can see this guy right here has a little car with the engine hood open. All right, there's some other little tabs close by. This one is right above it. This is actually the fuse control, so it doesn't have any markings on it or anything like that. So don't get the two confused. You want to look for the one that is the little car. Almost every single one of them is going to have this. And all you got to do is simply pull it until it clicks. All right, and that releases the hood from the inside. And this is another part where every car is kind of like a little bit different. Some cars will have a switch down here in the grill. Some of them are right up here. The Subaru is right up here in the front. So I'm simply going to reach under here, pull up until it stops, and you can find the release from there. Some of them have a little pull handle where you got to pull it this way. Some of them you lift it up. Some of them there's a switch where you push it left or right on a spring and it opens it up. This one is right here. And it's simply a horizontal switch. So I push it to the side, all right, and then I can lift up the hood. And you can see everything inside the engine here. I'm not going to go in crazy detail about where things are right off the bat. All I'm really concerned about is the oil today. So I'm going to set my towel down. The engine's not hot. I haven't been running the engine or anything like that, so I'm not throwing a towel onto a hot engine. Make sure if your engine's been running, don't put anything on the engine. Just leave it off to the side somewhere where it's not going to get messed up. Okay, going in to find your oil in the dipstick, most of the time there's going to be these yellow, pretty much all these little lids in here have yellow. If you find the one that has this little picture of an oil can, it'll also sometimes say stuff on it. All right, this one is engine oil. See the owner's manual, and then it tells you some numbers on there, 5W30. I'm not going to talk about what those different numbers mean or anything like that right now. I just want you to be able to find this spot. This is your oil fill cap. If your engine oil was low, this is where you would add more oil to it, simply by twisting the cab off. Make sure the car's not running. Twist the cap off. You'll stick a funnel in there and add however much oil that you need. All right, and then simply, once it's full enough, put the cap back on. Okay, pretty close to that somewhere is going to be another stick like this. Maybe it has something on it, maybe it won't. This one does. Let me get this set up. This one actually has a picture of the oil can on it, so it's pretty simple and self-explanatory. This is the oil dipstick. This is where you're going to actually check the level of the engine oil, and you see it comes out on this long metal rod. Okay, and you're going to use your towel to lay the rod in there and just simply wipe off any excess oil that you've got on there. All right, and then if you look at it, you can see these are marked differently sometimes. You see, let me get the angle right, those two holes. there's a hole. Let's get my finger on it. You can see the blue through it maybe. There's a hole, and there's another hole up here. All right. This hole here, what we're looking for is if the oil is up to this hole, that means it's full. If the oil is somewhere in between, you might need to add a little bit of oil. Definitely, if the oil is down here at this hole, you need to add some oil because your oil is low and it's going to damage your engine. All right, so the goal is to get the oil right up at this blue, or that little second hole right there. So to check the oil, first, again, take the dipstick out, wipe off any oil that's on it. Simply slide the dipstick back inside the hole, push it all the way down, pull it back up, and lay it on its side. And then look and see if you can tell where the oil is. This one, the oil, get it around here, get it so you can kind of see it. It's right up at that dot. You see it? So the oil in this is actually full. If it was low, then I would add oil to it. But that's all you need to do to check the oil. Make sure you get the dipstick back down in there. Put it down nice and tight. Make sure your cap is on tight. Make sure you collect your towel and anything else that you left inside the hood. Sometimes you might need a tool or something like that to loosen something up. If you leave anything laying around, you don't want it sitting in your car when you close the hood. So pick up everything you use, do a quick look, make sure that you didn't leave anything where it's supposed to be and everything's back the way that it was. And then grab your hood and close it. All right, that one's it for the Subaru. Come over here to the Toyota and get ready to check the oil on that one. Same thing, we're gonna come down here, we need to find that hood latch, release it. Toyota's a little bit different. This is it right here. Pull it out. Come over to the hood. Some of these, you gotta grab them a little bit differently. The Toyota, a little bit more picky. I've actually gotta pry my fingers underneath here to pop it up. And then come over, feel around underneath. All right, found the latch. Remember on the Subaru, it was a horizontal latch. I had to move it this way. The Toyota is a simple lift it up. So I'm just pushing up and lifting it up. The Toyota doesn't have springs or shocks to hold the hood up. So I've actually got to pry the hood or prop the hood open with my little propping bar right there. All right. But basically I just took that bar that was up here, popped it off. All right, it's on a little hinge over here, but I propped it off and slid the end of it down and just let it rest inside this little hole here. All right, so all I did was set the end of it down inside that little hole, and that's gonna hold the hood up. Everything else, the engine looks a lot different than the Subaru. I could still make out my different caps for here, but they're not the same. All right, this is what I'm looking at here. This is my oil fill cap on here. You can see if I wipe it off a little bit, it says the oil type that this car requires. And then again, in this same vicinity, you can see this. This is my oil dipstick for the Prius. All right, so it's usually kind of down in a spot where you got to reach down a little bit, but it's usually a small handle like this. There's no markings on the top that you can see, like the other car had a picture of the oil can on it. This one doesn't have any markings on it or anything like that that you can see from up here. Everything else, though, is the same procedure. I'm going to pull out the dipstick, make sure, again, the car's not running. Set this guy down here for a second so I can show you. Let me grab my towel. All right. Now I got my towel set up here. Looking at the end on this one, kind of the same deal. It's got 2 holes, one little hole here and one hole down at the bottom. So I'm looking for oil to be up to this hole here. If it's lower than that, I might want to think about adding some oil to bring it back up to the correct level. If it's down here by this first hole, I definitely need to add some oil. Okay, so again, to check it, take your dipstick, slide it back down inside, all the way down, pull it out, lay it on its side. All right, and then look at the oil level. The oil level on here, you can see where it kind of starts turning from the yellow to silver. It is a little bit below that fill mark, that fill dot right there, the top dot. So I'll probably want to add a little bit of oil. I'll do that in a little bit. But that's pretty much it. Wipe it off if you want. You can check it 2 or 3 times just to make sure you're getting a good reading. And then once you're done, plop it back down inside the crankcase. Make sure it's all the way down. Make sure all your caps are nice and tight. Do a quick look throughout the engine compartment. Make sure you're not leaving any tools inside there. And then close everything up. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. No, I'm not. But again, when ready to close it, I'm going to take this prop bar here, pull it out as I hold up the hood, snap it back into the little clip up here, then I'm ready to close the hood. And that's it. All right, let's talk if you got any questions.